relationships. And so, I'm not going to do this, but I'm sure if I did by a show of hands, how many of you have had a broken relationship in your life, every single hand would go up, right? Now, if I said, how many of you have caused a broken relationship in your life, probably not as many hands would go up. But I can tell you this, that I have been the cause of both in my own personal life. I've broken relationships, and also I've endured broken relationships as the victim of that. And so it's interesting, part of my story and my testimony I've shared with you guys briefly. I've never gone really in depth, but back in 2021, I thought the Lord was done with me in ministry. I walked away. I went on staff with one of my best friends. He was like a spiritual father to me. And within 5 months, it blew up. We had a nasty, nasty falling out. I resigned. I was in his office yelling at him. And I felt betrayed. And I left. And shortly after, within a month, the entire staff resigned. And I'm preparing this sermon for you guys this week. And I have not talked to this guy in 4 years. I haven't talked to him since I resigned. And I got to tell you, we did everything. We did family vacations together. We did trips. We went all over the country together. Him and I did missions trips over in Vietnam together, in northern Vietnam and communist countries. And I'm telling you, like, when you talk about being close to someone as a spiritual brother, or for me, he was a spiritual father, it doesn't get much closer than me and him. And it blew up. It blew up, wrecked me. So much so that I walked away from ministry. I thought God, like I said, was completely done with me. And I never wanted to experience that kind of hurt and pain ever again. And I knew how to protect myself from it. I just didn't have to deal with people anymore. I was like, I'll go get a job, and it's okay. I worked remote, so it worked out perfect for me. I only had to talk to people over the phone. But my heart was longing. I knew what God had called me to. And I was like, So eventually came back into ministry. But as I was preparing this, the Lord kept laying on my heart, how are you going to go talk to them about restoring broken relationships when you still have this one in your life? Man, I haven't got a response yet. But I did. I reached out and stepped into what I'm going to share with you guys today. So I've taken the active steps to restore one of the most painful broken relationships in my entire life today so that I could come up here and preach this to you guys, knowing that I'm trying my best to live it out as well, okay? Stepping into healing broken relationships. But we can know this and we can be confident in this. Hebrews 2:18, since he himself is to love as Jesus loved. There's no ambiguity. There's no way around it. I'm not going to pull any punches. That's what we're supposed to do, and that's how we're the church. That's how we demonstrate Jesus Christ. And we talked about this week after week. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of showing up in church and not trying to really live this out. And also, I'm tired of showing up to church and not being authentic about really trying to live this out. Like, it's okay. We're all messy. That's fine. Jesus is gracious. Let's continue to pursue him, but let's really authentically do it. So if you're sitting here and you know, off the top of your head, there's someone in your life, a friend, a family member, a parent, a child, I want to challenge you to listen to this today, to see how Jesus restored broken relationships, and then be faithful to do the same. Be faithful to do the same. Our main idea today is this, is Jesus didn't avoid broken relationships. He came to make them whole. He didn't avoid broken relationships. He came to make them whole. And then he's calling us to do the same thing. You see, Jesus was betrayed. We're going to step right into it. Jesus was betrayed, first one, by his follower Judas. For 3.5 years, imagine this, 3.5 years, Jesus has this intense ministry. It's super intentional, hyper-focused, because the day is coming that he's going to go to the cross. He knows that he has a limited amount of time to accomplish as much as possible, to be intentional with every single moment that he has. And he knows from day one, when he calls Judas Iscariot, he knows that he's calling his betrayer. Jesus already knows the broken relationship is coming. And yet Judas, for 3.5 years, follows Jesus as one of his closest people, one of his almost inmost circle. There were 3 specifically that were the closest to Jesus, but Judas is one of the 12. Here's what happens. If you don't know the story, Matthew 26:14-16 says this. Then Judas and asked, "How much will you pay me to betray Jesus to you? What is he worth? This guy that I've been following around for 3.5 years, this man that I've witnessed perform miracles. I've seen him heal the blind. I've seen him cause the lame to walk. I've seen him raise a Samaritan woman by a well that we should have had no interaction with. I've seen this guy do unbelievable things. I've seen him fulfill the prophecies of the Old Testament prophets. I've seen him arrive as the king of our nation. How much will you pay me to betray him?" I know. And they gave him 30 pieces of silver. And from that time on, Judas began looking for an opportunity to betray Jesus. You know, the same thing in ministry. There's this saying in ministry. If you haven't heard it before, if you ever hear a pastor say this, hopefully they're not talking about you. But ministry would be great if we didn't have to deal with people, right? It would be great if I didn't have to deal with people. But that's so counterintuitive to who Jesus is, right? Jesus' ministry is great because I get to deal with people. The difference is that I have a tendency of not walking in the Spirit and walking in the love that Jesus Christ has demonstrated to me. And so my response to people isn't as Christ would respond to people. That's the difference. I'm not perfectly walking in the power of his Spirit and the wisdom of his truth, right? So typically when an issue goes wrong and I say something like that, ministry would be great if I didn't have to work with people. It's like, okay, JT, where's that coming from? Check your heart. Or other pastor, whoever it is. And so Jesus Christ, even knowing that he's walking with his betrayer, he loves him. He continues to teach him. He continues to invest in him. And what I want us to notice here is the intentionality of Jesus Christ with Judas Iscariot, his betrayer, knowing what's to come. And so for us, if we look at this and we look at Jesus Christ, having lived with and loved and ministered to his betrayer, who are we? Who are we? If someone's betrayed you, another thing I hear pastors, I've used this as well, is like, got a lot of scars on my back from getting stabbed in the back there. And pastors will talk about that all the time because ministry's hard. Stuff happens. People leave and it feels like betrayal. But none of it is as serious as what Judas Iscariot does to Jesus Christ. And so, we can sit here and we can have, and I don't want to downplay this, but we can sit around